I was born in 1934, one of a pair of twins. Miriam and I were the third and fourth children in the family. We lived in a very small village in Transylvania, Romania.
Guess I'll just close my eyes.
We got down from the cattle car. People were selected to live or to die. People crying, pushing, shoving, dogs barking, trying to make some sense of that place. And I actually turned around in trying to figure out what is that place. Never seen a place like that before. And as I turned around, I realized that my father and my two older sisters were gone. Never saw them again. We were holding on to mother for dear life. A Nazi was running in the middle of that selection platform, yelling in German, "Twins, twins." He noticed us and demanded to know if we were twins. And my mother asked, "Is that good?" And the Nazi said yes. My mother said yes. At that moment, another Nazi came, pulled my mother to the right, we were pulled to the left. We were crying, she was crying. And all I ever remember is seeing my mother's arms stretched out in despair as she was pulled away. I never even said goodbye to her, but I did not understand that this would be the last time that we would see her. And all that took 30 minutes from the time we got down from the cattle car and my whole family was gone. Only Miriam and I were left holding hands and crying.
Waking up in the morning, gotta thank God. Just waking up in the morning, gotta thank God. Just waking up in the morning.
Hello, is this Eva?
Correct.
Yes, this is Ransom. I was calling you. I have a YouTube channel, and what caught my attention is I didn't know that I knew who you were because I've seen stuff on you and your twin sister before, and when I saw the story about you going through the TSA in Albuquerque, you know, that caught my interest, and then I kind of revisited your story, and I thought my viewers would like to hear pretty much anything you have to say, because you're somebody that has a lot to say as far as world history and the way things are today and the comparison.
Well, I don't really think that what is today that is so unique from a year ago or 2 years ago.
Well, not much that I can see. I see the same things going on and the same games kind of between the governments going on.
Well, the thing that it is really is that some people, thank goodness, not everybody, look at Trump as a troublemaker, as a Hitler. I couldn't even begin to compare him to a Hitler. I would compare Putin to a Hitler because he likes to kill and use poison gas.
Yes.
Trump is trying to create peace, but he's not a pushover. That is the whole thing. He's not willing to get peace at any cost and let people walk all over him. That is the difference.
Yeah.
And I think that is the way I would be if I were president of anything, or that is the way I am. I don't want people walking all over me just because they are bigger and have more power. So I kind of agree with some of the ideas. I don't like his language, but that is Trump. He's not a politician. He's not politically correct.
Yeah.
And I don't think I can make him politically correct.
Well, we're living in a world right now where there's a thin line between being able to speak and being politically correct at the same time.
Yeah. Well, as long as we can speak our mind, that's good. Because you cannot speak your mind everywhere in the world or at every time in the world. So basically, you know what I did this morning? I have tweeted two things to President Putin and Assad. I said that they could take a lesson from Gorbachev.
Yes, I just read that tweet actually.
I think that they can turn Gorbachev. We don't remember that he was a communist most of his life.
Yes.
And didn't actually speak. But we remember him for that he turned around and changed his attitude and became a decent human being.
Yes.
And if that you can do it at the end, I'll take it anytime. Stop the killing. Stop the killing and give the people back their human rights and even help them. And do the right things in life. So I don't know. I don't think that he reads my tweets, but maybe somebody does. And a little bit of spreading that idea doesn't hurt. I don't know if it's going to help, but I know it doesn't hurt. That is all I am concerned about. It doesn't hurt anybody, and maybe the idea that even Putin can become a human being.
Yeah.
I wanted to really do it in the other way. The reason that my picture is there with my mother, I started out thinking that I would ask him to do something that his mother would be proud of. As I hope my mother is proud of me. But I forgot to put it in. I got involved with Gorbachev and all the things, and I ran out of space.
Yeah, they do that on Twitter too. You got to make it short, huh?
Right. Sure. Only 280 characters, which is better than 140. But I still run out of space, particularly if I want to relay an important message.
One of the main things I noticed with all the things that I've seen you talk about was the idea that you were able to give forgiveness, and the way that you put it, that the forgiveness was, yours and yours alone, that nobody could make you either forgive or not forgive. And that's a really, really powerful message.
Yeah. I would say I would immediately correct you.
Oh, okay.
Not give forgiveness. I would say I take forgiveness. Because the forgiveness is, for me, I did not do it. Well, originally, when I started working on that, it came about because I was meeting with a Nazi doctor in Auschwitz, Dr. Hans Munch, who was willing to document the gas chamber. And I thought that was a very important thing for me. I wanted to thank him in some fashion that was unique.
Yes.
And I knew that the whole idea of thanking the Nazi was also kind of crazy. But I wanted to give him something that he would appreciate. And as I worked on that for 10 months and trying to figure out what can I give Dr. Munch a gift from me that he would like, when I came up with, after 10 months, with the idea of a letter of forgiveness, I realized something very important, that I had the power to forgive. No one could give me that power. No one could take it away. It was all mine to use in any way I wish. And that power is available to everybody who hears my message. Now, the idea that I had the power to forgive was very unusual for me. I knew that Catholics like to forgive, but I am not a Catholic. I am a Jew, and I will remain a Jewish person all my life.
Yeah.
And that is kind of not part of the Jewish culture. However, there are rabbis who will disagree with that. Because Jews have definitely a holiday called Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, when according to the tradition, God forgives our sins and we forgive our fellow human beings their sins. And I found that very smart because that comes about 10 days after New Year. So the idea that to start out the new year with a clean slate was kind of interesting, but that is how it happened. Now, once I realized that how it made me feel to be able to forgive, I realized one thing immediately, that the survivors were attacking me in every way possible that they could.
Yeah.
And I wasn't as good at defending my ideas as I am today. I have had a lot of practice, 24 years.
Yeah.
Because they said, even just in October, I went to Israel for a filming, and I appeared on Israeli television, And the survivors asked me, okay, so you forgive, it helps you, that's very nice, but why don't you keep it to yourself? Why do you make such a big noise about it? And it annoyed me. It really annoyed me. So I thought about it, and 2 days later I gave another interview to the same reporter, and she asked me again the same question, and I said, well, I want the survivors to know and ask them a question. If doctors have discovered the cure for cancer, for Alzheimer's, for diabetes, should they keep the secret? And they said no. I said, well, I discovered the cure from victimhood. Should I keep it a secret? And of course they were silent.
Yeah.
Because this is exactly it. Not only the cure from victimhood, I would also dare say that by eliminating victims from this world, we would not have any wars. Because all the wars are created by victims who are very angry, who feel justified in lashing out.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that from a very angry person, I became a very docile person, and I feel tremendously empowered by having the power to forgive, because I know how will I feel tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. I am not going to let anger and hatred rule my life and ruin my life.
Yeah.
Because that's what it does. I am only in charge of what I put in my mind. And I am not going to put that anger and hatred. So I get up every morning and I say to myself, okay, I am still alive, that's good.
Yeah.
And let me see what good can I do today to make the world better. And the moment I do that, I put in my mind that question. My mind starts working on it. And immediately I have something positive going on in my mind and in my life. That is as simple as it can be. And it can be, the other day I cleaned my room in the museum, and I found lots of T-shirts that people donated to me, and I never wear T-shirts.
Yeah.
So I talked to one of the teachers. I said, do you have any kids who might need and like T-shirts? She said, sure. So I donated to her 10 T-shirts. There are very simple things that we all can do to help somebody and to make the world a little bit better. If by nothing else, if by our attitude to be positive in what we do.
Yeah, just having positive intent in the morning.
Right. Having a positive intent, put in your mind a positive question. The mind is a very interesting organ of the body, or the brain and the mind. We can put into it negative things, that negative things will come out. We can put into it positive things, and it's amazing how it works positively. And only we, unless somebody uses our mind for mind control, we are in charge of what we put in our mind.
That's right.
And that is to me an amazing thing. I like to joke with young people when I lecture to them, and I say, well, look around in your room. You see walls, desks, chairs, doors, windows, carpet, floor. Did any of these things grow on a tree? And they look at me, of course not. I said, where did they come from? I want them to be a little bit think. They came from somebody's mind, right?
Yes.
And if we look around, when I'm looking at my desk, there is a nice piece of glass, and under this glass I have pictures on my desk. Somebody has to come up with the idea of making that glass.
Yeah.
It didn't grow on a tree.
Yeah.
So it's amazing what the human mind can create. I mean, and each human mind is different than another. I mean, if we look at it, Alexander Graham Bell, Edison, over 100 years ago, they were smarter than I am today.
Yeah.
One could put electricity through a wire, the other one could put sound through a wire.
Yeah.
These are all unbelievable things. But every person that decides to do something and use their minds work differently. Their life experiences and what they are exposed to are different than mine. Therefore, they will think of different things than I think of. And that is all wonderful. That is the way we have the magnitude of production of different things in the world, beautiful clothes, silk, jewelry, tall buildings, medicine. They're all advances. They all came from somebody's mind.
Yes.
And when you look at it all, it's really overwhelmingly interesting how the human mind works. So, I usually like to tell my audience, if I ask you to do me a favor, think in the morning when you get up, or whenever you have time, of one single thing that you can do to make the world better. What kind of solutions would we come up with?
It would be amazing if everybody was waking up every morning thinking about positive things and ways they could help other people instead of complaining or you brought up a big thing that I believe in and that's not being a victim in any way, shape, or form. And I wanted to ask you because you kind of said that when you realized that you had the power of forgiveness there, that kind of ended victimhood, or at least the thought of it. And I kind of wondered, listening to your story when you were 10 years old. I don't want to get too deep into it because I mean.
Oh, you can. That's okay. That's all right.
Well, just the main point that when you had those 2 weeks when they told you that that you were going to die. It seems to me that at that time, even as a 10-year-old, you had already decided not to be a victim at that time.
At this time, I don't think that I could crystallize in my mind the idea of victim or not victim. I made a decision from the first moment that I saw the dead children in the latrine floor that I was not going to die in Auschwitz. I was going to survive, and I was going to help my sisters survive and walk out of this camp alive. The question, somebody asked me if I had hope. I wouldn't call it hope because I had a determination.
Yeah.
And therefore I had to take action. Just thinking about it would be nice if we survive, it doesn't work. You actually have to work at it. You have to find food. I had to crawl on the barrack floor to get to the faucet with water. There were things I had to physically do to maintain my life.
Yes.
But that is what I had to maintain my life. I was not going to die in that place. And I am always thinking to myself, if I could survive crawling on the barrack floor between life and death, I was so sick and was not willing to give up, that I was somehow going to make it, and I did. I have a telephone call from Israel, but they better call back later because I am not going to talk to her now. I can see it coming through. I called her earlier. She can call me later.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. It is really that decision that you put in your mind to focus on that is going to be able to maintain what you want to do. So it is a very interesting thing. Once I survive there, any difficulty that I have in my life, since then I always go back to those 2 weeks that I was between life and death. The doctors I had wanted me dead,
Yeah.
and I was still not going to give up.
No.
That is keeping focus on the thing that I needed to focus on. Yeah. And so it is interesting. Anyone who ever has any difficulty, look at it as a challenge. And when you overcome that difficulty, you can always use it as a source of strength. Because that's what I say. If I survive those 2 weeks in Auschwitz, I can survive anything. And it always helps me. And life has not been necessarily kind to me, not necessarily. Just last year, about this time, was April 30th, I woke up at, was a Sunday, I had breakfast, and I said, okay, Sunday, I'll go back and take a nap. I woke up half an hour later, fainting, not being able to even sit up in my bed.
Wow.
So I began screaming at God. I said, God, I am not going up there. Stop fooling around with me. I'm not ready to go.
Wow.
And what I found strange, though, as long as I was screaming and being angry, I wasn't fainting.
Yeah.
So my son called and he said, Mom, how are you? I said, terrible. I keep fainting. So he said, well, I'll call the ambulance. And he did. And my heartbeat was between 40 and 0. And they were going to shock my heart and said, no. Just get me to the hospital. I don't want those things shocking my heart. And they gave me medicines to get my heart going, but they didn't. So then I was taken to Indianapolis to the Methodist Hospital, and the doctors were all around me. And I said, well, since you all are here, I have a request. I have written a very, very important lecture, and I'm going to give it tomorrow at the 7th Circuit Court with Elena Kagan in attendance. Law and how law and the Holocaust work. So they said, no, you cannot go.
Wow.
I said, but I worked on that lecture a long time. They said, well, what if your heart stops completely and we cannot start it? So anyway, I recorded it. They recorded my speech, and my recorded speech got a standing ovation. But I'm going to give that speech again on April 18th in Indianapolis. But now they have added to it law, ethics in law and medicine. Okay, so I have that lecture ready to go.
Yes, and you have a big documentary coming out too, right?
Yeah, there is the latest documentary, and they have dug into my heart and soul. So it is everything that I have done, including everything that happened to me. I was arrested in the Capitol Rotunda in 1986 and roughed up by I call them the Capitol Gestapo. I call them Gestapo. They were nasty. They were very, very nasty.
Yeah.
So that will be in it. And a few other things that I have done. But that footage has never been seen anywhere. And I didn't know it existed even until my dear producer dug it up somehow, found it. And so it's going to be interesting what people think.
Yes. Were you surprised with the BuzzFeed video reaction that you got like 33 million views on Facebook? I mean, that's like overwhelming.
Not 33 million.
Oh, that's...
At this time, it's 188 million. I just
wow.
looked at it 2 days ago.
That's a lot of people.
It's growing very slowly, about maybe 1 million a month, but it's still growing.
Yeah, it was very powerful video. I actually tried to upload it, but YouTube didn't want to let me because it belongs to BuzzFeed.
Well, I guess so. Yeah. Well, I was surprised. Basically, what really happened was 4 years ago, they asked me to appear on BuzzFeed, and I said, "What on earth is BuzzFeed?" I never heard of it.
Yeah.
So I didn't do it. Then one of my fellow survivors in Los Angeles told me, "Oh, you should have done it because I got 3 million views." So I said, "Well, that's very nice." So I contacted the guy. I was going to Los Angeles anyway to appear on Nikki Sixx's radio show. Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue, one of the founders of Motley Crue.
Yeah.
And so I said, "Well, I'll do Nikki Sixx's show and I'll go on BuzzFeed." And it wasn't an impressive studio, actually. It was a very, very modest studio. They didn't even have air conditioning, central air conditioning, so they had a window air conditioner that they had to turn off because the noise was too big. But if a car drove by on the street, they had to stop taping because the windows were open. So we did it very early in the morning. And so I thought, well, I don't know what they are going to do with all that, but we'll see. So the day they told us that they uploaded it on Facebook, we started looking at it, and my coworker who is sitting here with me in the office, I said, "Well, did we reach 3 million? Because that's all I wanted to have, as much as the other survivors, 3 million.
Yeah.
She said, "In 1 hour, it's up to 30 million. I said, "No way." So it went within probably 2 months, it went to 183 million, and then it's been creeping up. But at the beginning, it went very fast, very fast. Yeah.
And that's a large number of people to reach with your message too.
Yeah, I think it is their second or their best response to a video that they have done. Or the number one or the number two, I'm not sure.
I read an article, at least at the time that the article was written, they did, that's what I read, was that was their biggest video that they had released.
Yeah, I think that they actually studied that, what they have done with my video to be so successful. And I don't think that they understood one important thing. It wasn't the way they produced the video. It was the message of forgiveness that people like.
Yes, that's what I gathered from it. That was the main part. And it really, kind of boggled me, knowing, well, I mean, because I don't know exactly all the bad things, but I know enough that I can understand that it would be hard for any human being to have any kind of forgiveness for people that did that.
The whole thing, the forgiveness is not to help Hitler, Mengele, Goebbels, Himmler. Because I can tell you one interesting thing. For instance, about 5 years ago, I was in Washington, D.C. at the Holocaust observance. There were lots of big shots, and there was one, I won't give his name, but he's very much involved in Holocaust education. His ideas are always carried out. And he came up to me and gave me a hug and a kiss. And I was a little bit startled because I didn't think I was kissing friends with him. So I didn't know why he kissed me and hugged me. I said, oh, you must like my forgiveness. And he said, Eva, I hate your forgiveness. He said, don't you know in Jewish tradition, the perpetrator must repent and ask for forgiveness, and then the victim can forgive. I said, no, I didn't know that. But I said, do you think that if Hitler, Mengele, or Goebbels were alive right now, would they repent and ask for forgiveness? He said, that's absurd. I said, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I said, but what happens to me? Do I remain a victim for the rest of my life if the perpetrator doesn't ask for forgiveness? And why on earth would I give the perpetrator power over my life long after the tragedy is finished?
Yeah.
He didn't answer. And I found that really a very interesting insight into why we give the perpetrator any power over our life. I don't, and I don't think anybody else should.
No, the forgiveness is for you to kind of let go.
Correct, and I don't need Mengele or Hitler or Goebbels or Himmler's permission for me to forgive. No, I'm doing it because I want to forgive, because I have the human right to be happy. I want to declare everybody who hears my message, I am telling you, every human being on the face of this earth has the human right to be happy and to be free from any past pain and atrocity that was done to you. You have the right to free yourself, and I hope you do. And you can free yourself by forgiving. It doesn't make much sense theoretically speaking, but when you forgive, what really happens is you are taking the only power that you have, and you say, I forgive you, and with that, I am done with that topic.
Yeah.
That does not mean that I condone,
No.
I approve, or do I want anybody to be treated that way. It means I am done with it. I am not going to be judge and jury. What happens with survivors is that they think that if they will somehow use the power to get even, then that is going to make the pain go away. In my opinion, there was not one single victim on the face of this earth that was killed by people getting even.
Yes, that's one of the main quotes I kept seeing there, and I just think about, you know, whenever you say that you can't perpetuate the negative feelings or keep them inside.
Well,
It's kind of
now actually you commit an act of violence against somebody else, and how on earth does it make the act of violence committed against you okay?
yeah.
It doesn't. It doesn't take that away, and it doesn't take the pain away. And I am not going to be involved in handing out justice.
Yeah.
I am going to leave that to the court. I am going to do my job and the job of every human being who hears my message is to be the best and happiest you that you can be. And by getting even, you are not going to accomplish it.
No.
So concentrate on improving your life and doing something good in the world, because it is amazing how much good we can do. I also tell Germans who feel very guilty, some of them are children, grandchildren, or even great-grandchildren of the perpetrators, and they feel guilty. I said, please, don't waste your good energy on feeling guilty. It does not help anybody.
No.
Anytime you want to feel guilty, do something good for somebody, and at least something good will come out of it.
That's right.
But feeling guilty has again not helped. It's a wasted emotion, and it doesn't help anybody. I mean, I have just one of my people that I like was a Nazi who I testified against, but I forgave him in my testimony in 2014.
And that's Munch?
No,
No?
Oscar Gröning. Oscar Munch died a long time ago. Munch died in 2001.
Oh, okay.
Oscar Gröning was the bookkeeper of Auschwitz, and I testified against him, but I told him in the testimony that I forgave him, but that did not absolve him
Yeah.
from taking responsibility for his own actions. And he has done so. He has taken responsibility for his actions, which was really what I wanted him to do, but I wanted also I appealed to the Superior Court in Germany to not send him to jail. They can find him guilty because he was guilty.
Yeah.
But as punishment, give him community service to talk to neo-Nazis, to young people in Germany who admire Adolf Hitler and would like another Nazi regime to come to power. Not to let another Nazi regime come to power, because tell them how bad it was, even from his memory in Auschwitz. There was nothing good about the Nazi regime.
No.
Not one single thing.
No. And I see a lot of parallels in today's governments that they've taken things out of it and are implementing it in today's world. And it's really, and a really big question I wanted to ask you, because you go visit Auschwitz and you do a lot of things to make sure that people remember our past so that we don't, do it again or let it happen again.
Well, just a minute. I must make a correction.
Okay.
That is a nice statement, but I don't think it's enough.
No?
If we remember the past, that is not enough not to not repeat it.
No.
The repeating comes because people want to get again even. We are not going to repeat it if we learn to heal ourselves. If we remain victims, they are going to do it again and again and again. Victims do not act logically.
Yeah.
Victims want to get even.
Well,
So forgiveness is the only key, in my opinion, to preventing future genocides from happening.
I agree with that. But actually where I was going is here in the United States recently, there's been like you've seen it on the news where there's a fad now of trying to destroy history. And
that's ridiculous. That is absolutely absurd.
yeah.
All of a sudden, Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson, they didn't exist because they were slave owners. And I think the black community, the black leaders, ought to use their minds a little bit better. They are part of the history that if they did not exist, slave owners, then there were no slaves, right?
Yeah. Well, my point is...
We cannot rewrite history. We cannot.
Yes, that's true. That's kind of my point is that, I take my son and I try to show him everything that I can, or at least that I've learned as far as history, and try to give him lessons. But I fear that in the future, there won't be, because of political correctness, everything's so offensive that people will forget history. And I would like to be able to show my son and tell him that, people acted messed up in the past and, they had whatever reasons they did it. But if we forget about it, it's like it never happened.
It's not that we forget it. They are trying to rewrite history by removing the statue. What on earth does the statue bother you? I personally against statues to begin with,
Yeah.
but that is a way in olden days they honored people who served with some kind of importance in life.
Yeah.
Well, fine. So now you're removing all these statues, and are you going to remove it from the book, from the mind of the people? Are you going to rewrite American history?
Well, that's what I fear.
Because you cannot really rewrite history. You can try, but then if there were no slaves, then black people have no claim to being used as slaves because there were no slaves. I mean, come on, you're getting yourself out of existence, and none of it makes any sense.
No.
Yes, there were people who were slave owners. That wasn't nice, but it was the time. At the time, that was the way in the world. There were many slaves.
Yeah.
Many slaves, and let's see what we did with it. We had a president such as Abraham Lincoln, and who abolished slavery. And I am not as magnanimous with people telling me, oh, my great-great-grandparent's father was a slave. I said, well, that's not that bad either. Let me tell you something. In Auschwitz, we were prepared to be slaves.
Yeah.
They're dead. As long as they used us in slave labor, they didn't kill us. So don't complain about being a slave because there's all more strength than being a slave.
Yeah. Well,
and this again, they don't really understand it. We were used, the human fat in Auschwitz was used according to some records. Not everybody agrees to these records, but I can tell you one interesting thing. I received a bar of soap in Auschwitz every single week. We took only one shower a week, and it was a very strange soap. It was a very low sudsing soap, and it had a little smell to it that I couldn't quite identify. According to many sources, the soap in Auschwitz was made out of human fat.
So that's the other ingredient with the lye that they were making the soap with.
Right.
That's
Since
crazy.
there is a debate about it, I really did not understand why in a place where we were starving to death, we had one piece of bread a day, we had maybe 300 calories a day, that they were so religiously giving us a bar of soap every week. And only when I got back from Auschwitz in October 1945, and the following April, they had a memorial service at the synagogue where I live. And the rabbi said to bring the soap, if we had any soap from Auschwitz, to be buried, because it was made out of human fat. And in those days, in the war, soap was a luxurious commodity, so you didn't give it away. I still had 2 bars of soap from Auschwitz,
Wow.
which I had taken the following day to be buried. But then I developed tremendous nightmares that I could not wash with soap for quite a couple of years, because I would have these nightmares and the soap would turn into the voices of my parents yelling at me, why do you wash with me? And it was a nightmare would reappear in my life until we left Romania and went to Israel. Yep. It was pretty nasty. So while that is, it is known that they used everything they could find. The hair was made into mattresses.
Yeah.
And the soap, the fat was made into soap. Jews were a commodity that was merchandise, and they used everything that they could from the human body to make it into a product and sell it. That is what there is. I don't think that there are going to be such horrific things happening again, but who knows? Human beings can be very cruel, and they like some of the things that the Nazis did.
Yes.
I hope not.
Well, they do things that are more scientific and along the same lines in today's world. I mean, I do a lot of studying in it, and there are things similar, not in the same way, but with the same kind of sickness that we shouldn't be doing, and
Yeah,
they're
there
allowed
are
to do
a
it.
lot of sick people who are leaders who should not be leaders of anything.
That's true.
They should be in a mental institution behind doors and bars. But that is, we do what we can, and that is the reason I really like the idea of tweeting and pointing that out, that they can change their ways. They don't have to be that evil.
Yes.
And I'm hoping, I don't know if I can do, but I remember at the time, it was President Reagan who said to Gorbachev, tear down this wall in Berlin.
Yeah, that was a very memorable thing in my life.
And I thought I thought he must be joking. They are not going to tear that wall down. Guess what? It came down.
It did, yes.
So at times, the little silly ideas that we come up with and talk about it and advertise it and let people know, that catch somebody's imagination, and the human side becomes human again, and they adopt it. I mean, that is the only thing, and that is actually what helped Reagan's idea. He helped crumble the communist regime in the Soviet Union. Now, I am not that fond of Putin. I don't think that this is a communist regime because he has a lot of money, Putin himself.
Yeah.
But what is he going to do? Has he ever thought that he can take it to the grave with him? What will he be left after Putin is gone? The legacy that he left. And the legacy that he's leaving right now is so negative, so bizarre, so nasty. Nobody's ever going to think one decent thought about Vladimir Putin. So Vladimir Putin, straighten out your life.
Right.
Because you can still leave a legacy of goodwill and caring and mend your way. I don't know if you're listening, but somebody might.
Yeah. Well, that's a message for anyone.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, every single person, what I find the most powerful thing that we all have, as long as we are free and we get up in the morning and we can direct our minds in the direction we want to, we can always ask ourselves, what is the best thing that I can do today to help somebody? And focus on it 10, 15 minutes, half an hour, and then go on, do your job.
Yeah.
But if you dedicate that much time to putting something good in your mind, you are going to feel good about who you are and what you do. When I was very young, or a young woman, I worked out every morning at 5:30 to 6 o'clock, because that was the most difficult thing I had to do that day. But if I got it done in the morning, I felt good about it all day long.
Yeah, that's true. I do. I feel the same way when I make myself exercise, but I don't do it as much as I should.
Well, when I was young, I did it every day before the children woke up. And then by 6 o'clock, the kids would wake up and I would be ready for them. And I have gotten it out of the way. And of course, I felt good because Now today I don't exercise. I can't exercise. I hardly can move, which is difficult, but I do the best I can. So this is, I mean, just to wrap it up, in my opinion,
Okay.
every single human being, even if you right now are very angry, very bitter, why me? Why does it happen to me? I do not know why bad things happen to you or why bad things happen to me. But if you have the power to direct yourself in doing something good, that simple step will make you feel good about yourself that you are doing it. And will create some good stuff that somebody else might benefit from, or just other people might emulate what you do.
Yeah, or just add to your idea and make it better even.
Right, right. It is the simplest thing that I came up with and the easiest and the most doable thing for everybody who hears your broadcast.
Yeah. Well, that's a very powerful message that I think we should all think about is, I make music videos also, and I kind of took a clip out of a song, and I made one that's where I took just the little verse out of another song that was just waking up in the morning, got to thank God, because that's how I feel about it every morning. Is I'm happy that I woke up again.
Right, right. I mean, there are no guarantees.
Yeah, there's definitely no
Some
guarantees in
people
life.
go to sleep and never get up. To be able to get up and use your mind is a wonderful gift to have.
Well, in closing here, for any of my viewers, what would you like them to check out? And I can link. I was going to link the museum, your Facebook, and your Twitter.
That's a good idea to link the museum, or they can just Google my name and they will have a lot of information, videos.
Yeah.
They can do that. But or if they don't want to do all that, just remember my 3 life lessons. Never ever give up, no matter how difficult your life is, and growing up is very difficult. 2, learn to treat other people with respect and fairness, and when you are already making a difference in the world. And 3, forgive your worst enemy. It will heal your soul and it will set you free. These are my life lessons.
Those are very good, and all of those are full of empathy that I think that the world needs a lot more of. That we've been lacking for hundreds of years.
And every person can do it. You don't need any money. It's free.
Yeah.
Everybody is available to everybody, and that is, I think, that is the beauty of it. That you can do it just because you want to. Now, I hope you want to do good instead of doing bad or evil.
Well, I do myself. I kind of found that, after I got a little older, that's really one of the only important things in life is to, even if you don't believe in a higher power of any kind, or you don't have religion, that wouldn't you want to just know that you chose to be a good person with no one else making you or any other things?
Yeah.
Guess I'll just close my eyes.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.